Welcome in, everybody. Esports Weekly time every Monday, 10 a.m. Well, except for last Monday because it was Labor Day, but this Monday, 10 a.m., it's Esports Weekly time. We've got a great show ahead of us today. We got an interview for you. We've got a recap of the Smite Minor League, Smite Global Series, preview and recap of the SPL, and Finch and F-Dot are going to yell about something at each other eventually. Fun fact, neither of them think the movie Elf is any good.
It's not. I think that is a bad thing to open up here like that.
Yeah,
There's no way that most people will be on our side.
No, I know.
It's a trash film.
Okay. All right.
I like Will Ferrell, but I don't think Elf is up there.
It's not that good.
I'm the only person on this desk who thinks Elf is good?
You're the only person most places that I would wager.
I guarantee that's untrue. I just guarantee it. I'm about to interrupt the Paladins Esports Weekly going on right next to us to ask them if they like Elf. I will. I will do it. This is absurd. So last week, this is normally where we do the SCL recap. Last week, as I mentioned, was Labor Day, so we did not have the SCL, so no recap for you, but we can go into the schedule and what you can expect to see today right after Esports Weekly. This is what we saw from them in week one. Rival did end up losing a game to Noxious, but ultimately came out on top in the set, where Astral Authority continued to look dominant.
They were really mad, I think, after losing that game, because games number 2 and 3 were very quick and very dominant. Rival really putting on a clinic.
Yeah, and then Astral Flashpoint, a big game for the North American side of Xbox. Astral coming out looking rather dominant, at least with that 2-0 Flashpoint, and able to find a win. So Astral continuing, I think, up against their best competition in North America to look like the ones you got to beat.
Well, let's look at the standings and see where everyone's sitting coming into this week. We've got those teams, both Rival and Retribution at 1-0, and then Astral and Armada at 1-0 as well. So we did not play those games offline or anything like that for the week that we missed. It's going to end up being made up at a later date. Let's take a look at the schedule for week 2, which is ultimately this week, what you'll see right after Esports Weekly concludes. And Rival versus Retribution, the two undefeated teams so far in Europe, are going to go up against one another.
Should be an interesting one, but I'm more particularly looking forward to the Astral versus Elevate matchup. Astral trying to, keep their undefeated record going, and Elevate has some contending members that can take that away from them.
I don't know. I'm really interested in the Rival Retribution matchup for what it's worth. I mean, Rival stumbled just a little bit in their matchup in week 1, and Retribution looking good. So let's see if Rival can, establish that dominance once more and get a clean 2-0.
Retribution, an old brand in the European Smite Console League, so we'll see if they can return to their former glory. They used to be the kings of European Xbox, but we'll see if they can get back there again. As for PS4, remember, it's not just Xbox anymore for the Smite Console League. They also took the week off last week because of Labor Day. This is what happened in week 1. The Playing Ducks ended up losing to Freaks T1. Freaks T1 looked excellent, and then Evil Lemons ended up dropping to In Control. Coalition with that 2-0 over Strictly Business, and that'll send us to the standings to see what we've got going on so far through the first week.
It just goes to show that it's not all about the logos, right, Finch? Because obviously Playing Ducks would be at the top of the game.
Yeah, clearly if there were logo points, Playing Ducks could never be 4th. But unfortunately, it's not a stat totally that we track here. And Freaks, I agree with Ryan. I think their team play seems to be kind of the best out of those 4.
I don't know, man. Lightning Vikings, it's hot contesting in Europe right now over good logo and team names. Lightning Vikings is a great name.
Especially for Smite, right?
Yeah, I'm digging that. So let's take a look at the schedule we've got for the PS4 League. Again, this is also happening right after Esports Weekly. You got a day full of the Smite Console League. It'll be Evil Lemons up against Strictly Business in North America, and Playing Ducks get a chance to try and bounce back up against Insomnia. They have an extra letter in there.
It does seem as though that's not right?
Did you see that I actually pronounced that properly, though? I went, Insomnia.
Yeah, I've been ignoring it, but it keeps showing up, so I assume it's on purpose, and we have to respect that, I think.
Do we? Like, we were just praising Lightning Vikings and Playing Ducks. And I'm not really sure that we do have to.
I'm not sold on it.
I mean, I used to play on a team that had a horrible team name. It was Everyday Carry, which is just the worst team name of all time.
Yes.
And I didn't respect that name.
And you rarely carried.
I truly did not. And that was a big reason why the disconnect was there for me, I suppose. So again, Smite Console League, that'll be happening right after Esports Weekly today. Okay, let's move on to the Smite Minor League. We had a full set of action overall. I mean, this was a really, really good week for the Smite Minor League. We had a couple players really, really stand out in particular, but let's take a look at the standings, or excuse me, the schedule for what happened this past week. What were some of the games that stood out to you guys?
I think that the one that really stood out was when Poppies kind of blew it at the end against Sacred Speed Buff. They were doing a good turnaround play and then got a little bit too frisky towards the end. And actually, the highlight play of the whole week was definitely Genetics on the Sylvanas, being able to last hit the Titan. Because if that doesn't happen, his team loses.
That was such a crazy end to that game. I'm right there with you, totally. But I've been very impressed by Armada's play in North America. In all honesty, I did not expect him to look this strong. I kind of thought it was very clearly going to be very nice to be in 2.0 Pain's team up near the top, those two squads. But really, 2.0 struggled, and into Armada, I feel like, are right there on the heels of very nice to me, and they got to watch out.
Armada has been playing very, very well, as has Optimus Gang in Europe.
They've looked
that team
very
has
good.
looked very good, and both teams have kind of been carried on the back of their junglers, it's felt like so far. We'll go into that in just a moment, but you're right, Optimus Gang 4-0 and Signum 3-1. The same thing in North America, where Very Nice to Me's 4-0, Armada 3-1. It seems like those are the two teams that are chasing this top spot in each of their particular regions. And as I was saying, both Optimus Gang and Armada feel like they are very jungler driven. And let's start with Optimus Gang, because Johnny had just an absolute incredible week.
Playing the Ao Kwang, that one particular
and stop
game.
letting that happen, right?
Yeah, people are still giving him Ao Kwang. It's 2018. You know, it's not like it's just been released. He's been making the highlight plays, even playing the Bakasura in his matchup against Milky Way, which did not last very long whatsoever, and just making the highlight plays.
And to be fair to this guy, I mean, he's also going off on the Bakasuras, as you're saying here, and the other picks. It's not as if he's a one-trick. It's just that his all of his tricks are good, and then this Ao Kwang one is especially good, where he really is kind of able to run these games for him. But Optimus Gang, I don't think they're reliant on Johnny. I think they'd still be a strong squad, or like those other four players are strong independently of him, but he just does so much for the rest of that team that we don't have to answer that question, really. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he just so often is that guy for them and kind of rises up that you almost get tired of talking about him, but then he just keeps fragging out, and you have to.
The whole team of Optimus Gang, absolutely solid, but I think having one dude who is very likely to carry a game for you every time you load into the match is a huge boon, and I think that has been a big differentiating factor, this split in particular, for Optimus Gang. And I could say the same for Cope, for Armada. I mean, Cope has really stepped up, and with Sam for Soccer going to the SPL, I think Cope may be uncontested for best minor league North American jungler.
Taking some of Sanford Soccer's god picks as well, playing the Erlang Shen in the jungle. A lot of similarities between those two players. I wouldn't be surprised if we still see Cope somehow find his way back into the SPL.
And this is why I mentioned that I think that Johnny isn't like the sole reason they're winning, because I think for Armada, there are some games that Cope has just straight up won them, that where they would have absolutely lost, where he comes in on the back end and is able to clean up like a triple kill in that game up against Sanguine in particular around the Fire Giant pit. That was a fight they were losing where we got that highlight from, and Cope came in and kind of evened up the score. There have been several times where Cope has pulled them back from the brink.
Cope has really impressed so far this fall split, and from going not nearly at the in the league at the beginning of the year. I mean, he kind of took a break towards the beginning of Season 5, now comes back and looks better than ever, so it's been really exciting to watch those two players in particular. And if you want to get a little bit more of an in-depth look at what you can expect for the Smite Minor League, we actually had our very own Anatoly do a quick little video here, so let's take a look at that.
Hey guys, it's Anatoly here. Just wanted to do a Smite Minor League European breakdown for week number 2. In our very first set, we're going to have Optimus Gang against Milky Way. It was pretty much one-sided, and this is the key deciding moment in the game. So let's go ahead and just play it from here. Sibby doing a good job baiting himself out, as we're going to see Marcus pull him in after the tail flip. But look more importantly about what's about to happen off screen. That ultimate, the through space and time, zones several members from Milky Way away long enough for the reset to happen, and the team fight just keeps coming forward because Paintify and Johnny unrelentless in the chase. Johnny doing a good job using the purification beads to continue the chase, and the team fight just lasted too long from Milky Way to secure the objective, and as a result, it was just all Optimus Gang getting the Gold Fury and still surviving through the portal from Ferrocreek, being able to go down south and then still find the kill on the top hand side, making it very difficult to get back into the game. It was Optimus Gang after set number 1, and that puts them at 3-0 for week number 2. They still have one more set later on in the day. The next set was going to be Insignum up against Exordium, and the key moment in this game was very late. A lot of back and forth action, multiple Phoenix Sieges where Exordium just couldn't close it out. So let's go ahead and play it from here. There was a nice little defense on your minimap that you're going to see on the left-hand side. Lasberg was defending. Now the chase happens. Because of the earlier trade of Genetics up against Angry Day, losing the soul DPS damage doesn't help when you're trying to siege these Phoenixes. And the chase from Insignum, it was kind of like cue the Benny Hill music, because Lasberg gets a double kill onto the chase. No more life remaining for Ken6 on the left-hand side. And this counter siege now from Insignum had to be fruitful, because if you look on the left-hand side of the minimap, you're going to see all these minions start to flood in. And unfortunately for Exordium, they thought it was a good idea to defend their middle Phoenix 2-on-5, even trying to go past the Phoenix for shelter. And with only Angry Day left alive, he could not really stand strong up against Insignum. Later on in the throne room, it was all Genetics action. The respawn happens from Kha'Zix and Popular, but they couldn't block the Sylvanic's basic attacks. If Genetics doesn't close this out right here, with that Phoenix going down the left-hand side, all these fire minions in the tiny room, game's over. Exordium moves on, but it's not the case. Genetics, MVP for this game. Set number 3 was Poppies up against Sacred Speed Buff. A little bit of a sneaky tactic from Poppies, trying to catch them around this corner. And if we go ahead and just play it from here, look where Warchi is, being very aggressive, trying to go across this side, gets off a really good ultimate, but look, he just keeps on moving forward to the point where the ultimate from Mr. Stefan allows Streak Up to basically 3-shot the sole mid laner. And fighting 5-on-4, it was very easy for Sacred Speed Buff to clean up the rest of the team fight. They secured the deicide, and they pretty much secured the game, allowing themselves to find their first victory in the Smite Minor League, now sitting at 1-2 in the standings. And if we're going into set number 4, Sacred Speed Buff yet again in a match. This time it's against Optimus Gang, against a team that has yet to lose a single set. And this was a little one-sided as well. A nice gank attempt from Johnny on the Ao Kuang. Why are people still giving Johnny Ao Kuang? I can't tell you. Sibby playing the Baron, and despite both Baron and Ao Kuang ultimate being used, 5-on-4 for Optimus Gang, without their frontliner, Big Steefy Beefies, Bologna, the rest of the team fight was very easy to play cleanup crew. Johnny on the backhand side, looking for the flank opportunity underneath. Actually going to catch out Streak Up to do plenty of damage. Focusing out this Sylvanas for Mr. Stefan. He's constantly getting pressured, as most Sylvanas do. With the deicide, with the Fire Giant, very easy victory for Optimus Gang, getting their 4th set victory in the Smite Minor League European action. Still number 1, still trying to get to HRX. And that's going to be it for me for today, folks. This has been your Smite Minor League European key moments in the game breakdown.
Thank you very much, Toli.
I got you
right here. I don't have to.
You kind of like teleported back over here.
Yeah, welcome back, Toli. If more people want to watch more content like that from you, where can they find?
You can check me out at youtube.com/AnatolyA89.
There you go.
I'm going to change that probably after this.
Dude, I have been trying to change my YouTube name for literally weeks, and I'm just too stupid to figure it out. On God, I can't do it.
I'm pretty sure mine's just finished now. I think I was able to do it. What? You know, I used to be Darstar, obviously.
Right, of course.
Now I'm just finished.
Well, that's good news. Yeah, so if I go to youtube.com/Darstar, I won't find anything at all. That seems like a missed opportunity by you.
You're right. I should be keeping some old edgy stuff there, right?
Keep that on the wraps. Yeah, exactly. For Minor League this week, here's what you can expect. This week's schedule coming at you. We got a lot of good stuff this week. Sacred Speed Buff looking to continue that hot streak that they got on towards the end of week 2. Optimus Gang looking to keep their undefeated record up against the Poppies. That'll be on Thursday. And then on Friday, Very Nice to Me goes up against Sanguine and Armada up against 2.0. And that is a good test for both Armada and 2.0 to figure out exactly who is one of the better teams in the North American Minor League. That does it for Smite Minor League, but we've still got more leagues to go over. We've got the Smite Global Series, which is honestly a bunch of leagues coming together all at once, it feels like. The Smite Global Series continues. Again, that'll be on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Let's take a look at the standings so we can check out where everyone is coming into this week. Insight sitting at 2-0, just like Atletico, up on top of Oceania. No surprise that Black Dragons is up at 2-0 in Brazil. Get on my level in SEA, the only undefeated team thus far. And surprise, surprise, Why So Serial and Nocturnes looking dominant in LATAM, North and South, respectively. And guys, it seems like the SGS is getting a little bit closer.
Yes.
These teams are getting a little bit closer in skill level to the top end. but it still seems like the top-end teams are the best.
For the most part, outside of Uyghur and Servo that made it to that spring layer, can't really repeat that performance thus far online. I'm curious to see the week 3 matchup between No Ping up against Black Dragons. Both of these teams undefeated so far, so one of them is destined to lose, and that's kind of the rivalry within Brazil. But in between LATAM North and LATAM South, it's always going to be that Nocturnes gaming-wise so serial.
Yeah, I think Nocturnes are pretty clearly the top team. I think in the SGS overall, but just for what it's worth, I think that Nocturnes team can compete up against some of these North American SPL teams as well. So it's unfortunate that we don't get to see their LATAM North counterparts on the regular anymore because they always have to kind of go through Nocturnes. But I every time we get to watch that team play, I enjoy it. They're so strong.
SGS again, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That's where you can catch that action. And I think that we're going to continue to see those top-end teams try and really set their own personal metas, right? Like, that's what you have to do if you're a Global Series team and you want to come here and try and beat up on an SPL-level team. I think that finding your comfort picks that are a little bit off-kilter is a good way to spend a lot of this time because you're right. I mean, a lot of these regions, Nocturnes is going to be the top of LATAM South. There's just no universe in which they aren't right now. So may as well spend that time trying to come up with something a little bit different.
I think that there are a lot of spicy picks that they do every now and then. Very aggressive for the most part, and that's where we see they thrive when they actually do make it to the international land up against North American, the European teams. They try to throw a curveball at the opposition, but at the end of the day, they need to be able to slow down at times to know when it's more important to get some of these objectives as opposed to chasing kills.
Yeah, it continues to me to be the late game when I compare these Global Series teams up against the North American and European teams, right? It's how well can they transition out of those early laning phases where they often do well, or at least even, how well can they translate that into the mid and late game? So that's got to start to be their focus, right? Try and, start drafting now for those parts of the game. Try and prioritize those so that when they do enter into that international competition, they're maybe a little more ready.
SPL is what they're going to have to go up against whenever they ultimately come to HRX, and that's where we're going to go right now. Week 2 was a week that played out kind of like we expected overall. A rival able to bounce back after a tough loss up against Dignitas, but Splice and CLG, the two teams that you're kind of looking to be challengers in North America to the top end of United and Space Station, both fell not just a little flat, but very flat.
Splice playing a little bit of Neath action there, throwing for a curveball. The Shibalanke, something that Cyclone's been really heavily prefers. I was really excited to see how the rival Dignitas matchup would pan out, and that specific matchup, it was the whole variety Kivo Fred show. Getting both Circuit and Baron in both games, rival just couldn't really respond.
Yeah, I was surprised by the week 2, not because there were matchups that I thought were like upsets, but that they were just all kind of relatively one-sided, right? Not a lot of comebacks happening in week 2 of the SPL, I would say, but I expect that to kind of be the way that we move throughout here. This is the fall split, the closing out split, right, where all these teams are trying to make it towards land in the best position that they can, so people kind of closing these sets out now a little bit better.
You just mentioned it, Totally. Rival versus Dignitas. Dig gets a really good draft back-to-back in this set. Baron has been hotly contested by a lot of different teams, all for things outside of mid lane, but it feels like Variety is the one who's been able to do the most with it in the solo lane so far. He has looked just unstoppable on this pick.
And the reason why they're getting Baron in the first place was because last week it was still patch 5.15, Naja's passive still giving the physical power. Now that the players are on 5.16 with Naja's passive no longer giving the power, I don't think Naja's going to be the top pick, so we might start seeing some more Baron bans, so Variety going to have to avoid being that Baron main.
We're basically getting to see that Baron all around the map, and I agree with you. I think that Rival have been showing us a little bit of stumbling, I feel like, from where we saw them in summer. Not a ton, mind you, but they don't look quite as clean as we've been able to see out of them in the past, so they're going to have some challenges coming up this next week. But Dignitas, on the other hand, just been capitalizing on it. I don't know who to pick against them in an online phase. For me, it's when we see them in the LAN environment where I'm really wondering, but Dignitas, they just look as good as anyone right now.
It's going to be exciting. A fall finish here in Europe is going to be tough to really predict exactly where Dignitas is going to be, where Energy's going to be, where even Rival's going to be. Rival seems to be a Jekyll and Hyde team these days, where sometimes they show up and look very, very dominant. Other times they have really, really rough sets. This was one of them overall against Dignitas, so we'll see if they can bounce back in this week. Next matchup was Energy versus Obey, a match that during summer went all Obey's way every single time. Didn't really seem that close. Energy has started off the fall split horribly. So naturally, it goes the exact way that not a lot of people thought except for me, and Energy end up winning this set.
They needed this win, not just because that they finally beat Obey Alliance, but this has also been their first victory thus far in the week 2, at the beginning of week number 2. So that got them more momentum heading later down in that week when they were up against Mouse.
And I'm glad we're looking at the Yemen highlight here, because Yemen really was the highlight of this set, right? Getting to play the Chernobog in the mid lane. As he often is, I feel like, whenever Energy plays, Yemen is one of the better looking players in it, but he does such a good job with those early rotations. He had mid lane pressure, right? It felt like from minute 1 as well. I mean, when Energy are playing like this, like they played in this Obey set, it's so difficult to try and pick someone up against them. The problem is that, at least, you know, recently, they haven't always played like this, like we maybe expect.
And the way Adapting's been piloting the Bakasor, like, look how he just cleans up and patiently waits like a true assassin jungle should.
That was that's impressive. Anytime you're sieging with the Bakasura and you're able to make plays, then you've done something right, because it is difficult to do at that point in the game with the Bakasura, but Adapting definitely ended up impressing in that one. Splice also impressed in their matchup up against CLG. And this CLG team, just again, you look down the line and at least I think to myself, this is going to be a top contender in North America.
Every split.
And they just haven't been able to put it together once.
I'm right there with you. They have the talent from top to bottom. You're right? Snoopy went to the conversation for best hunter in the world. I think Homie still regularly makes the case for one of the best junglers, at least in North America. It's so surprising to me whenever this team doesn't do well. I think Fine is constantly overlooked for his solo lane play, and he's one of the bullies, I would say, in North America there too. But for some reason, they can't quite get it together. I feel like they're not always on the same page. Now, to their credit, this is one of our few 3-game sets, right, where they took Splice all the way, but it just feels like they can't close it all together or close it all out.
I think a lot of it came down to the global ultimate pressure. I think they had the Neath, the Athena, and also another global pressure god that just really ran rampage. CLG couldn't really adapt too much. Final K had a pretty decent game on the Kuzenbo, but for the most part, getting picks like the Freya as well for Cyclone Spin, he's able to just dominate even early game.
That op-wash damage is just absurd. It's good,
it's
unbelievable. Someone today, or the other day in my chat, called Zeus budget opwash, and that really put into perspective why I hate that character so much. Because they're right. Like, when opwash is good, Zeus is just budget opwash.
Yeah, he just does more damage than him, right?
Yeah, and that's lame. Zeus has lightning. Like, zombies are stupid, and I don't like them. Whereas lightning is super cool.
I think Tom really likes the
What
zombies.
are these takes you're taking today here, right? You're
Tom loves the zombies.
You're on the elf bandwagon over there. For some reason, you don't like zombies. I don't understand.
Look, I just mean in comparison to lightning,
sure.
Zombies are super lame. Like, zombies are okay.
Lightning's a top-tier element. I'll give you that.
Absolutely. It's the best element.
Yeah.
Here you're standing so far through the SPL. Zeus would be #1 above all these teams if I had my way. United still sitting at 4-0. They've looked literally unstoppable so far. Dignitas as well, sitting at 3-0, undefeated, though they're going to have a pretty interesting couple games coming up this week, I think, and they might end up sitting at 5-0 after this week because they've already played the top end so far in Europe and come away undefeated thus far. We'll get into some SPL predictions a little bit later on. That's when I bring Hinduman and Taco on to let them know that I'm just doing better than them. I don't know if I did better than them this week, but I'm hoping
you should just say it either way. Don't look at the numbers; they're irrelevant.
It's all about confidence.
Oh, true. Okay,
hey, present yourself.
I got you.
I did better.
Thanks, guys. Yeah,
try again.
All right. I'll yeah. Hey, guys. I just did better than you today.
Oh, wow. I believe
like,
that. Wow.
They're like, aggro, the numbers don't say that. I'm like, do I look like I care about the numbers?
Yes.
Do I look?
I am the numbers.
Facts. Yeah. Alternative facts.
Yeah.
The truth isn't always the truth.
No,
and that's a big thing.
I have my version of the truth. You have your version.
Yeah, exactly. There's 2 different versions of the truth all the time. I'm going to throw it before I get too angry. Tom's there with top place.
There are 2 different versions of the truth. One is when Zeus is #1. 2, which is the actual truth, is when Opwash is #1. So we heard Ryan before talk about how Zeus was cooler because lightning's cool and zombies aren't as cool. I'm going to agree. But see what Opwash does is he blows up the zombies because they're not as cool. It's very simple. Opwash the GOAT. Anyway, I'm here for a real reason. What's up, Smite fans? We've got the top 3 plays from week #2. The first one is interesting. It requires some context. Maniac is here on the call and doing what he does. But let's take a look. Let's roll the tape and take a look at what's going on because he just blinks into the middle of everything. And this is actually a game-winning team fight. Everybody on the red team is kind of spread out and meandered. And by him coming in and starting this team fight, this is what allows his team to go ahead and start everything. That The classic initiation. That's all you're seeing right there. That is what every team wants an initiation to be. Just bang, catch him by surprise, hit multiple members, give the opportunity to plenty of other players. Up for number 2, again, another team play. This one is going to be Counter Logic Gaming. They steal the Fire Giant, and then they're able to go ahead and win the game. Let's take a look. These guys come together and basically just decide that they're going to win this game. This is not their game to win whatsoever. Turnabog shows up, they steal the Fire Giant, and they will themselves into a win. Now, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, the real interesting part is how they isolate individual players. You can see the Chang'e down south. There's the Bat up north, taking care of him. Everybody on their own sort of nonsense. And because Counter Logic Gaming can kind of depend on the individualism of the team, well, there you go. And top play right here is Panda Cat just looking dope. Honestly, again, I try to keep a motif. There is a big time impact. He's able to save the Gold Fury here, but let's take a look at him just isolate one player and just punch him out. I mean, this is just cool. Pillar impales still impressed me. Not an impale on the pillar anyway, but 100% accuracy with the ultimate. Yeah, that's number 1. I don't care if you think it's disappointing. I liked it, and that's why I picked these. For me. And you guys are just watching. Like Aggro, he's watching me be better than him. It's excellent. Top fail on the way here, by the way. This one was Fusify. And I just made fun of Aggro, but in all honesty, I think Aggro kind of makes this call. I think the audio's here. Let's watch Fusify just. Yeesh. Is the audio here? I don't know. Oh, there's no audio. But anyway, this entire clip, Aggro's just making fun of him. It's really funny, and I like it. So here's my Aggro impression. He just misses. He goes for the uprights and he misses. He could have hit it, but he misses. He's not as good as me because I'm aggression and I would have been better. That's what Aggro sounds like in real life. So it was pretty good for the top fail. It was a lot of fun. So I'm definitely not the top fail. I'm chilling. But on a serious note, we did get a chance to talk to one of the up-and-comers. Sam for Soccer is actually on the rise. He makes his way from the minor league into the pro league. And earlier this weekend, John Finch got a chance to talk to him. Let's hear what they had to say together.
All right, I'm here with Sam for Soccer, going to be the new jungler here for Trifecta. Not entirely new to the SPL, but just new to this roster at the very least. The first thing I want to ask you is, how is it, coming up from the SML, trying to get into the fold here with this roster, and in the most important split? I mean, it's got to be a ton of pressure.
I guess so. It's really not that much pressure. It's just kind of pretty exciting for now, at least. Getting moved back up to the SPO, it's always a lot more competition. It's more fun playing in general. And yeah, just really looking forward to giving a chance to show what I have and what our team can as a total.
And your first time coming in, it's not in the ideal situation, where you don't have everybody there and Mass has to step back in. That's kind of a frustrating situation. I mean, how is y'all's mentality kind of regrouping from that and then trying to look forward to your next matches?
You still look forward to game 2,
or just like in general? I mean, not just game 2, but just sort of like you're moving past, like trying to move past.
I mean, it was a rough start for sure, and we were all kind of, I guess, like a little down, but it's not too hard to move past it, because you don't have your full team and stuff, so you expect things to be rough in general. But yeah, I honestly think we'll be fine, and we're not really too worried about that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's very open, I feel like, in North America SPL right now, right? Like, Space Station going through some changes. I mean, not everyone looks as strong as they have in the past. United, obviously, up at the top. But, I mean, how realistically do y'all see yourselves finishing? Because the door does seem kind of be open, even though y'all had a rough start.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the record of the team's 0-3 to start, and that's not ideal, but we can honestly finish anywhere depending on how we do. Like, it definitely is really open. I don't know if we have set expectations for a position, but I mean, our main goal is kind of just looking towards Worlds as a whole, right? We're not too focused on we're obviously focused on the split and improving as much as possible, but I don't think we care that much about our placement. Obviously, if we can get top 2 and solidify our spot for Worlds, that'd be ideal, but we're trying to improve as best we can and throughout the split. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mast was such an important, part to this roster. I feel like he had a ton of responsibilities, was often, someone they relied on to even carry some games. What are some of the responsibilities for you trying to come into that role? What is the expectations for you from the team, for this squad?
Not quite sure. I mean, I think we're all like really good players, and we all have our like ability to like, I guess, go off in a certain game, right?
Right.
I don't know if we have certain expectations for anybody to do like certain things on a given game. If it like works out where like maybe I carry a game or do it really well, then I guess that's good. But I think like kind of anybody has that potential, and I think we're just kind of going with the fact that like anybody or that everybody can do well rather than like certain person carrying on a given day, even though it can happen.
Right. Just sort of if someone's hot, that day, y'all just kind of go with them, I guess. Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been good to sort of get a chance to talk with you here. I mean, there are probably some people who watch that, aren't familiar with, haven't seen you before, if they don't follow with the SML. I mean, is there a little bit you want to tell us about, how you like to play, what's like on the day, or just sort of like, let the people get to know you a little bit better? Like that?
I mean, majority of the time, honestly, I'm just playing ranked conquest. Sure. Sometimes I'll throw in some assaults, It's probably the most casual mode that I go for. But I kind of just grind the ranked play.
Absolutely, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you sitting down here and getting a chance to talk with me. I'm wishing you all the absolute best for Trifecta. I think you're gonna be a good fit for that roster. So definitely, thanks for sitting with me here. Are there any shout-outs or anything you want to get in before I let you go?
I guess just shout out to all the fans for supporting me and Trifecta as a whole, and we're gonna try not to let everybody down. Try to do our best heading to Worlds.
Thanks to Sam for Soccer for dealing with Finch for that long. It's one of the unintended consequences of making it to the SPL is now you have to spend more time doing things like one-on-one interviews with guys like Jim Funch over here. So can't win them all. That's
we could
all
be so lucky.
Yeah, if only we could all be so lucky. That's right. All right, now it's time for our meta discussion. We do one of these every week, and this week we want to talk about some items that we're seeing a little bit more pro play.
What's
but
the title of this segment?
It looks like it's Going Shopping.
Yeah!
Recent item pickups. I was in the middle of a really important spiel, so may I,
yeah,
Finch?
Yeah,
okay, thank you. We're going to talk about some items that we're seeing a little bit more SPL play and ones that you can pick up in your games that you might not be buying right now that are definitely worth picking up. So, Finch, if you're going shopping right now, what's on the list?
Well, the first one on the list, and I don't know why you have so much disdain in your voice.
I don't know.
Baron's Brew.
Baron's Brew is a very good item. Yeah, I would pick that up.
But
that's
you can
not
only
what we're
buy
here
that
to talk
if you
about.
have Baron on your team.
Yeah, that's not what we're here to talk
That's
about.
a consumable.
But
actually, fun fact: you don't need to have Baron on your team to buy Baron's Brew. If
There
you
needs
have,
to be a- there needs
if
to
you
be a
have
Baron in the
Morrigan
game.
that turns into Baron,
Yes.
you can then buy it while she's transformed.
Yes, but everyone has to be in the base during that transformation and purchase it before she detransforms.
So Oni Hunters is the item that I think is like being picked
Don't
up
do that.
a little bit more often right now. I've been noticing a lot in these support builds, like maybe like second or third item. And I think it's like the right call. I wanted to kind of hear your all's thoughts on it a little bit more because it's so cheap, right? It's such good stats. It's damage mitigation, which I think has to be good with more Bakasuras running around and everything too. I feel like the item does a lot for not that much gold, and our Guardians and really even solo laners have been starting to notice and pick it up.
Yeah. Not even being funny, everything you said. It's what, 1900?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
ludicrously cheap. That is insanely cheap. And it's percent mitigation, which is previously only found on items like Mark of the Vanguard. Rest in peace, right? Like it's a huge amount of damage reduction. And I think of it more as a solo, it depends on the class you are. I talk about when you're playing tanky support, you're either peeling for your backline or trying to penetrate the blah, blah, blah. If you are a character that's surrounded by others, Cullen, RDO, this is one of those items that is just a big duh. I think if you're not buying it, you're kind of making a mistake.
There are certain team compositions where I don't think I would be buying Onis. If it's Serket, Neath, Giannis, whatever, it's a pick composition basically
Right,
where I'm
exactly.
not going to be trying to team fight, then even though it is only 1900 gold, I'm probably not picking it up. But you're right. If we're getting to the point where I'm behind and I need something cheap and effective for magical protection, this is obviously a go-to. When you're going to be team fighting a lot, this is a great pickup.
I mean, you saw my top my number 3 top play of the week, excuse me, was Maniac just like getting in there and you see him blink and there's 4 players surrounding him.
Yeah.
He's getting his money's worth right there. And that's his job, right? That is the job of that player to just blink in there and do that. And yeah, I mean, if that's the position you're in, you better be buying it.
And there's an overall trend, I would say, towards supports buying slightly more selfish items, I feel like, lately, early on.
Yeah.
Like, you see a lot more gauntlets and a lot more, like, Sov hardware. Sometimes we'll see just gauntlets. Sometimes we'll see just hardware, Sov, or whatever. And they kind of build a little bit more tankily, a little more selfishly, so they can use their abilities more often. They can be in the fights more often. So I kind of like that there's as much build variety as there is right now for supports.
I don't like that terminology.
What did I use? Selfishly?
Selfishly. And that's not a Finch thing.
No,
that's
it's like
thing.
it does seem a bit like a misnomer.
I don't like it. I think it's garbage. Because if I'm an Athena and I'm building so that I'm super tanky, how does that make me selfish if I'm taunting?
It's a bad connotation, but I mean the build's literally for yourself.
Oh, I'm not.
But I agree, it's a bad connotation.
I'm just on a soapbox independent of you.
I'm just trying to save you because I don't think it's super right.
Oh, I hate it. I despise it.
Sure.
I'm building tanky so I can save my teammates.
Well, because the argument is that Sov and Heartward also make you super tanky, but also help your teammates.
They don't make you as tanky, and is the 20 protections that I'm giving my teammates more valuable than me surviving to Ymir freeze, taunt, knock up, etc.? The answer is probably no.
I would say probably yes.
It depends on who you're playing.
It's your job to die for me.
That's very true.
But the support will die for you, but also peel for you and create better situations. Would you rather be a little bit more tanky or have another Geb shield because Geb's not dead?
Well, eventually, if I'm tanky enough from those and that Geb is... The threat, the idea that a support can be killed is something that you want to put in the enemy team's mind in the mid to late game. Because it's almost good for your support to be building not super tanky, because then they actually eat cooldown instead of teams going, oh, they're impossible to kill, let's not even hit them. It at least gives them the option of, oh, let's dump this key CC, this ultimate, and this movement ability to try and kill them. And then even if they do die, your boy gets to clean up.
That's actually...
You've been persuaded.
I don't want to sound so surprised, but that's actually a really valid point.
Oh, thanks. I think about the game a little bit.
No, that is a valid point, but I maintain that it's not building selfishly. I think we should eradicate that terminology from our meta discussion.
Let's make up a new word for when supports build in a way that makes themselves a little bit tankier and their teammates a little bit less tanky. I'm going to go with selfishly. Shifter Shield, another item that we're seeing a little bit more SPL play that I think is really, really good as a third item option for a lot of junglers right now. It gives you great burst damage. It gives you protections whenever you're in the middle of things. Characters like Naja and Ravin that have to get really up close and personal in order to deal their damage, I think do shifters really well.
And I like it. I like the whole overall trend where the junglers are just kind of building a little bit more utility is what I think we're seeing. There's still a lot that just want to go like, what's in the pin tree that I haven't bought yet and just buy that. Sure. But there's just as many like the Najas, like you already highlighted, the Ravins come to mind where they're trying to build just to get their ultimates off. Sometimes we don't see Najas build damage at all, or maybe it's just this shifter shield. It gives so much up top. It lets you get back out on the back end with those extra protections that you get as well. I love it. I love this item. I think we should be seeing it on junglers all the time. I really do.
I don't know if Shifter Shield's a hybrid item. That thing gives you 75 power.
That's a lot of damage.
That is the most power you're getting, even more than Transcendence, if I'm not mistaken. I think Transcendence gives you about 60, 69. And then, there it is. And then like 75. Like, that is an absurd amount of power. And yes, you get the defenses on the back end, but I'm looking mainly at one of the highest physical power items in the game. Yeah, feed me. I want that power. So yeah, I'm buying it.
So with those items in the bag, things that they should have been buying this whole time and now can kind of start, let's go to an item that is new and I think we'll see a little bit of, and that's Berserker's Shield.
That's tall?
Berserker's Shield.
That's tall?
Berserker's Shield. 1,700 gold in that shield tree right next to Gladiators.
You don't agree?
I do think this item is really, really good on auto attack warriors, and I think it will really help them get back some capital in that solo lane up against the mages.
That they lost when...
They lost Death Toll, yes, but that doesn't mean it's the same item, Tom. You simpleton. Okay,
Jeez,
don't break it down so much. All right,
Louise.
That's all I'm trying to say. Anyways, I do think this item's really good, but I have to say I really think the Berserkers and Glad Shield build is not good.
No,
Agreed.
I think it is too slow, and it's only physical protection. And we're seeing more of a split, I feel like, now. There's a lot more Guardians you have to worry about, or not even just Guardians, even mages over there, like Barons and Chang'as, where I don't think you can afford to do that, right? You can't just go the little bit of physical protections you get from that, because Berserkers is not that much. It's, what, 15 physical protections, I think?
Yeah.
As opposed to Glad Shield, which I think is 25, has 10 more. So it's really not a ton.
Right.
You're really very much reliant on that region that you're getting from.
So you're basically, if you buy both of those 1,700 gold shields, you're spending 3,400 gold.
Yes.
For what? 40 physical protection.
Yes.
Barely any health at all. 10% CDR and some attack speed, and good sustain from both passives.
It's
for
very
sure.
good sustain, yes.
But if I see both shields on an Osiris and I'm playing like Poseidon, I'm like, cool. I'm just gonna waltz over here, and I don't even need to Kraken you because you're just dead.
Well, it's and this is sort of a meta conversation where if you're buying both, I know you don't really understand the game like I do, so I'm just going to be a better player than you by extension.
Oh.
Glad Shield.
Well, you've mastered the game.
Right.
I mean, me, huh? Gold 4, baby. Watch out. I'll see you in my queues if you're on.
If you're most people.
If you are also average.
Hey, I have an emote, F.average.
I know, no,
It's the gold
that's why I
symbol.
don't feel bad saying it. That, you know,
You should feel bad anyway because I value you as a friend and colleague. And
Tom, I
that
think you're a really smart guy who's really cool, but
like Taj Mowry.
don't understand that reference.
Smart guy.
Oh, okay.
Doop.
So we're good to wrap this segment.
Yeah, that
Is that
killed
that's
it.
what that's what that's
Glad
telling me.
Shield, Berserker Shield, two very, very widely different items. It's like going it's like building full power on Bakasura or full attack speed on insert cooldown based character here. Your attack speed, the characters that want Berserker Shield don't want Glad Shield. And if you're buying both, you're just doing it wrong. There are very few instances where you're doing it wrong in Smite, and I think this is one of them that's very close to just doing it wrong.
I don't know. I think that I do think it's wrong, but I do think there are characters that want both.
You could make an argument for like Bologna and
Osiris, both
Osiris,
are cool
sure,
with
but
either one.
Again, like Arlong Shen, perhaps.
Erlong's cooldowns are too long to really make.
And so when I
I
look at Bologna Osiris, I know that there are a better option for both of them. So
you should be picking up Berserkers on both of those characters. Like there's no reason to really be going.
So
going
maybe my Osiris example was incorrect because maybe you could. Oh well, my 2's on such a low cooldown. Maybe it makes sense. But yeah, if I see both on a Sun Wukong or an Arlong Shen, like I know you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really where I'm coming from. There are a couple, like everything, there's a gray area. But I think really these are two very separate thought processes. And in general, you shouldn't be buying them together.
I'm very interested in where we're going to be seeing them, right? I think there might be some possibility that we see it not just on our solo laners, right? On if we can see them in maybe some jungle builds.
I think we can see a jungle for sure.
True. I think Erlong, like Hindu was yelling from across the room, I think certainly is going to be making a good use of this item as well. I'm very excited for Berserkers. They're going to be bringing in some of these auto attackers. I think it's enough for them for real.
Yeah, I think it will be big, though. I will say that how much will it help them against their Baron matchups, their Sobek matchups, because it is physical protection and not magical protection, but it gives them so much more pressure in lane that it might end up being
I think it
might
might still be good in those matchups because it's just so much sustain.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Even though it's not the right protect, it's just so much sustain.
Exactly.
Like
also, Hunters with Berserker Shield, no bueno. 1,700 gold. If you need something there, Ikeval strips the protections away from Berserkers. If I've got Ikeval and you've got Berserkers, I win that trade every time. So if that starts becoming meta, Ikeval can just get there and end up being a lot better. That does it for our meta segment this week. Sorry you had to hear them do whatever that was a little bit ago. Let's throw it to the memes because that's what I wait for literally all show long. This is what I've been waiting for. From Caspainify.
What are you doing?
It's good! Straight through the uprights. Fusify.
Mr. Stefan is jumping for joy.
Yeah, that is absolutely first blood if Fusify hits a goalpost there.
I mean,
either in the form of the minion on his right or the Sylvanas on his left, but
that is wow.
I mean, he drilled that field goal, man. That was dead center. To go, though I imagine Medusa is going to be in the dual lane for 2.0. It could also be in the mid. I mean, you could put Medusa in the mid lane and then pick Chernobog here. Yeah, that's an honor.
I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss-see one of the bands or something at this point. You know what I mean?
No, he's not there. He's kind of like, he got like some pink to it. He's kind of like pale.
Well, he can kind of hide in walls, right? So I thought maybe he might be
True.
like on the walls of our graphics package or something like that. But no, he's just not.
Get in there and mix it up.
Johnny do 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 Johnny do 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 Johnny do 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 yes papa.
What a week it was. And that was only with 4 days. That's the thing. We weren't here for Monday because of Labor Day, and we still got that quality content. Joe Bro continues to literally carry this show without ever being on it just because of the meme video. It's time for our SPL predictions. For that, I've got Hindu Man and I've got Taco.
Hi.
I like your cactus shirt, I gotta
Thanks.
say.
I like it too. I only actually wear it because of the fact that I look like I'm more tan than you, and that's pretty embarrassing for someone from the States versus someone from England.
No, I've never been more tan than anyone ever, so that's not a big deal.
I was surprised, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to be this color.
That's all right. You guys are like,
Both
well,
of
Taco.
you good pranks, by the way.
Yeah, well, yeah. Taco always has that like southwestern feel to her dress these days, and now like with the cactus shirt as well, I feel like I'm out of place. Like I'm like North Midwest.
It's like my personality, prickly.
Nice. There you go.
Oh, I get it, because you're savage.
That's the thing. That's how people
'Cause he's
know him.
savage,
He's a
yeah.
savage guy. Yeah,
Cactuses aren't really savage; they're just prickly. Like
No, but like
you mess with them, they hurt you.
Right, but you're also a savage, and that's kind of
Yeah, because like sometimes
my thing,
people
you
be
know?
like, you're a little bit savage to me, kind
then
of
it's
hurt
like, oh,
my
that's Hindu Man,
feelings,
like,
and
that's
it's
his
like,
thing.
well, I'm a cactus guy
By the
now.
way,
and
I
it
have
fits in.
never been this late on the show before after watching all that stuff that went on the casual set.
It's tough.
What happens after we do predictions?
Usually
it goes downhill.
It gets rough. It does.
Is this what we're going to do from now on?
Right. We have to
I
keep
feel
them on
worse
the
for
hook.
the audience, personally.
We have to keep them on the hook so that they can get to the predictions, and so they have to sit through that. You know?
I have to sit through that, though. I don't want to sit through that.
That's all right. Well, you don't really have much of a choice. Let's look at exactly what happened
What is this?
in week 2.
Oh, look at that. I'm still winning.
No, I did the best. I did the best that week.
Oh, how
yeah.
the tables have turned.
I did really well.
What's that, Ryan?
what-
Aggro, aggression,
Wait,
Bailey.
Taco, you
Is
and I
that
did the
me
same.
at 60% with you?
Yeah.
I
well,
thought you were better than me.
I mean, I am, but like
Turns
that's,
out you aren't.
I mean,
I don't have to say anything. Taco's just going in on you.
Yo,
and I'm
I
like,
don't know. How
I'll
am
say
I
even
getting
5% more.
just crushed by Taco right here? No,
That's
I did better. That's all it comes down to in this week. Looks like Taco got that little bit of an edge by going Space Station up against CLG.
Well, you got it for the
towards
energy
end of
when
the
against
week.
Obey.
I did.
So you guys evened out because of those. Yeah, I still came out on top.
Wait, how did you come out
It's
on
a
top?
running total.
Oh, it's
idiots.
running total.
Do you remember from the last
I was
season when
gonna
I
say.
was... Wait a second.
Yeah.
I got 100% and I'm still bottom.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, you butchered like 3 matches.
yeah.
Well, that shows how good I am. I can butcher 3 and still be beating both.
Well,
of you.
let's see
What's
how
that say?
the third butchering goes here in week 3.
I mean, this
this
is
is
easy.
what we've got in Europe. All of us looking at Energy and Rival and
Aggro.
Dignitas. And I've got Mouse over Obey. So that's where I'm making up a percentage point
I mean,
right
no.
there.
Taco, you looking forward to being ahead of him next week to roast him again?
I was so close on that Mouse Obey set that I don't even
Thank
want
you.
to really say anything just yet, because
Yep.
I really was not solidified on that Obey decision. I can definitely see this being a set that they end up dropping to Mouse, because Mouse historically has been a team to give them problems.
I think so too. I think that Obey has just been a little bit. I'm not sold yet. They had a good week 1.
Up and down.
And I'm just not sold on them yet. And this is the sort of a set that if their season 5 continues the way it has throughout, the spring and the summer, this is a set they will lose. And I'm just not convinced quite yet that they've kind of shaken that camel off
Just
their back.
spoil the run through. That's okay.
I mean, that's what I'm feeling like. It's okay. Let's go into Dig versus Obey, because this is we all had Dignitas here,
Yeah.
but this is one that if we really feel like Obey are contenders, they should at least be able to put up a fight against Dignitas in this spot.
On paper, I mean, Obey should be able to take at least 1 game here. Maybe even the set. Like, you can't say, if someone turned around and said, Obey, take the set, I wouldn't go, wow, what the heck? I'd be like, oh, Obey are playing to a standard that we kind of expected throughout the whole of the year, and finally found some form.
Yeah, but I've had like 6 months of them not playing to that
Yeah.
level, so it would surprise me at this point.
My main gripe with Obey throughout Season 5 has just been that they seem to only really play to the level of competition that they
they're
feel
against.
they're up against. And I think that has been the primary reason their inconsistencies have been so blatantly obvious, and their underperformance, because quite frankly, it is a bit of an underperformance when you look at the members on this roster.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the Obey roster had a lot of expectations coming into this year. I know that they have been disappointed in themselves and what they've gotten a chance to do. So we'll see if they can turn it around. It's still fall. It's the most important split. They have looked better so far, but this is going to be pretty big for them, I think, overall. Let's take a look at North America and see what we've got going on for our predictions this week. We are all the same across the board except for Taco thinks that Luminosity is going to take down CLG, and I was really on the fence about that set as well. So
in fairness, CLG have looked ropey. Like they've been on the ropes a little bit. They've not been as clean as I expected. I thought this would be the split that CLG solidifies themselves as a full-time top 3 and make it a top 3 race in North America. Not to be the case so far after 2 weeks of play.
The only question mark I have about Luminosity revolves around Shadow Chair, because I don't think that he's really managed to step up to that SPL caliber of gameplay, and Luminosity have been carrying him pretty heavily, but I think that now he's had a couple of weeks to try and have some time to build and adjust, or get a little bit more familiar with some of the other mid laners in the league, and actually have a chance to analyze other sets, not just their own. So I think that's also going to be a little bit more beneficial moving forward, and that's also part of the reason why I feel Luminosity synergy might already be there, because they've looked really hot. I think that Weekend and Shadow have actually gotten along quite well in that jungle mid position, respectively, and they try and draw the Dras comparison to I think CLG, it can get a little bit shaky because you expect Hariwa and Homiefe with all of their veteran experience to kind of just take that one all the way home. But I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as some people might be expecting.
Well, we'll see. We'll talk about that one in just a moment. Let's start with Splice versus SSG. Splice had a disappointing week 1, bounced back very well in week 2. Which are we going to see Spring Splice or Summer Splice here? Because Summer Splice nearly made it to LAN.
I don't know. And that's why I paused. I don't know. It depends which mid laner they played as well, I guess. I mean, it's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, what is going on there?
Well, I think it's just, to be fair, depth of pool is also a good thing that we don't really use in Smite that much. But having an actual pool of bench players that you can bring on of like super subs, I'm not against that. Like having Best come in and go, hey, you're playing against Best this week, boys. You're probably prepped to play against our different mid laner, but that's not the case here. We'll pull out the Best.
Right, but Maswal, in the games he has played, I understand that I know 1 week he didn't play because of internet issues and that kind of stuff, and that might be affecting him continually, but still, I mean, he has really not done what we kind of all expected him to do at the SPL level so far, whereas Best has come back and looked very strong in every game he's played.
Learning split on top of Best, knowing he's been benched, whether it's by choice or whatever, but you know, if you're on the bench and you're like, hey, let me just show you what I can do when I get on that field. And he does, and you're like, oh, that's why he was on the main roster. Why didn't he do that when he was main roster?
That's how it goes sometimes. I think that we're all with Space Station here, but I do think that Splice is close to being that top 3 and kind of taking the spot that I really felt like it was between them and CLG for who was going to be that third team.
I really feel North America is like top 2, which is Space Station and United, not in that order.
Right.
And then 3 teams vying for the rest of the spots, which is LG, CLG, and Splice.
Yep.
At the bottom, you got Trifecta.
This feels like one of those sets where Space Station does wind up losing it to the unexpected. Then I feel that could definitely play spoiler for them later on in the split as far as that World's contention and the auto-qualifying is concerned.
Definitely need to take games off of SSG or E United if you're a North American team trying to get that auto-qualify in the DreamHack Atlanta this year. Next match on our list, E United versus CLG. We already talked about how E United is the top card in North America, pretty much uncontested.
Yeah.
But maybe CLG, they need that sort of threat of playing against the best to maybe motivate them.
I expect an Obey set here. And when I say Obey, we were just discussing Obey plays to the level of the competition. So does CLG a lot of the times. When you know you're going against the best team in the region, or as the fans and even the analysts seem to agree that E United look the best, CLG may step it up. They may step up an additional gear, but is it going to be enough of a gear to bring down E United? I don't think so.
It all kind of just depends. I think that while CLG are capable of handing it to E United, I think that E United have been looking a little bit too dominant for my taste, or at least from what I've watched out of their gameplay and performances, that I don't really see them slipping this one up. I think at best, CLG might end up taking a game, but right now, E United feels like the undisputed #1 team in North America.
In fairness with storylines, though, this is the sort of game that you may see E United lose.
Could be.
Just because of the fact that what you do with United is you end up seeing them start off strong in the split and fade off towards the end. And everyone's like, I don't know if they're best in North America anymore, mate. Space Station. That's kind of what I expected with their split. So if it could be a one. It could be a tough one.
Could be it. It's going to be a tough one to end the week. Taco already talked about it a little bit. CLG up against Luminosity. These two teams really are vying in that next man up sort of spot in North America. I think that's the right way to put it. What are your thoughts on this matchup, Graham? Do you think that Shadow Chair is ready to take on a team like CLG?
I think they're both in an interesting spot. I think CLG have underplayed themselves so far this split. I think we expected a little bit more from them, especially with how the summer and spring went. I felt like CLG would find their form together. LG, I've got them down as making Worlds because I kind of see them as the fourth team out of North America to make it, really. CLG alongside them, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure LG flounder here a little bit more so. This Shadow Chair situation is more to do with him needing reps more than anything else and getting to know his team a little bit more. Sure, scrims work, but scrims don't work. Scrims don't mean anything, and I'm sick of people talking about scrims. Well, it worked in scrims. Well, do it in the SPL and we'll talk, right?
Classic. The classic, it worked in scrims. I think I said this last week, and I'm going to go against my own saying because I do that all the time. I'm a caster. I'm allowed to do that.
You are.
I'm voting CLG here, but I don't feel great about it. And if they lose this, then I'm off the CLG bandwagon.
Why are you LG, though?
I just think that Luminosity have been looking pretty strong, actually. Even in the sets that they have lost, I don't think that they have been losses that have come at like, oh, well, that was just expected.
Is it good enough
felt
to beat
very
CLG,
back
though?
and forth.
Do you really think?
I think it is good enough to beat CLG, and you have to take into consideration some of the factors that also came to light during that summer split from Counterlogic. I think that some of the team members were very vocal about some of their grievances. Like they weren't very satisfied with their performances, and I think that they're a very emotional team. I think that if they lose even one game to Luminosity, that'd probably put their team on tilt.
She's got a point, because at the same time, CLG, I mean, they could play down a little bit, going, oh, well, it's only LG. You know, they've sat at the bottom of the SPL for 2 splits in a row. What we got to worry about? Oh, no, it's Shadow Chair.
This is CLG to me feels like the girlfriend that you're breaking up and then you're not, and then you're breaking up and then you're not. That's like how I feel about CLG's chances in North America. I'm like, this week I feel really good about how they're gonna do. Then they let me down. You know, they don't text back, and then you're like, come on, dude. I was like, I just got back on the train. Now I'm falling off again. This is it, dude. I'm done after this.
You having some relationship issues or something?
No.
Okay. No.
The other note too, Kiki has been playing, I think, some of the best Season 5 performances that we've ever seen out of him, and if he continues at this rate, I think that is definitely going to throw CLG for a loop.
Kiki is in the zone.
For sure. That'll be a big boon for LG if they can make it happen, and if they can make it happen and fulfill Graham's prediction, they'll be going to HRX, and you don't have to fulfill Graham's predictions. Actually, Graham, can you predict that all the fans watching right now will buy HRX tickets right now?
Because that wouldn't be accurate.
Well,
some of them might get them for free. Some might get them from friends as well. Like, they don't all need to buy them. Just get your friend to.
Oh, okay.
Get your mum's credit card. Go online. Purchase the tickets. Then you don't pay for it, but you still get to come. Don't forget, though, you may need to book a flight too, so don't forget to get your dad's credit card as well, just to make sure you've got enough money.
Right,
yeah?
Spread
don't
it
put
out,
it all on one card. They'll notice. They'll notice. You can't do that.
Not the $600 flight that gives it away.
No, that is not a good idea.
They can't do that. I just realized the 35% gems is just finished, so I guess they've probably already spent that. Kids, I don't know what to say to you.
HighResExpo.com. It's not until November, so you still got a little bit of time, but make sure you get in there soon. Do not steal your parents' credit cards. I feel like I need to be the voice of reason in this spot.
Unless you're using it for the after party, because that's where all bad decisions are bound to be
made. If you're going to the after party, I feel like you have to be at a spot where you don't need to be stealing your parents' credit card, right?
Don't steal. Borrow. It's fine. That's what I use. Just say borrow. It's okay.
Oh, yeah, borrow. How did we end up here? Thanks for watching Esports Weekly this week. We do this every Monday at 10 a.m., and apparently you get horrible life advice from Hindu Man.
It's not horrible. You get to go to HRX if you steal your parents' credit card.
How is
that bad advice?
Because the parents find out, and then they ground you, and you don't get to go.
Jameson, how long till this is over?
We can end right now. SCL coming up right after this. You can go ahead and peach it as we get ready for the SCL.